Once upon a time, Vicki was trapped by the curse of her thoughts. It had her believing she was powerless, imperfect, and weak. Then one day, the curse started to lessen, and Vicki could see a little clearer. As each day passed, her thoughts improved until she broke free. She then began creating magic in her life. Now, Vicki is getting ready to marry her Prince Charming. This is her manifesting success story. Hello and welcome to this episode. I am your host, Cassie Parks, and I am back with Vicki Pace for another In Her Years of Growth interview series. Welcome, Vicki.
Hi, Cassie. Thank you for having me again.
Hi. Of course. I'm so excited about today. We have so many things. It is July 20th, 2021, just for listeners as a reference. And I think we will end up, this interview will go over 2 episodes. So we're going to cover a lot this episode and then tune back in next week for even more awesomeness that's happening in Vicki's world. But first, I want to start with, what is the manifesting total that we're celebrating today?
113,658. I said that wrong. 113,658,094 cents.
Yay! How does it feel to be over $100,000?
Oh my God, like a freaking rock star.
I'm sure I asked this at every milestone, but did you, when you joined, did you think that would be you?
No. No, and I don't think you've ever asked me that. Well, maybe you have. I don't know. But I just assumed it would be like 10K. And then, I think I may have doubted 10K. I don't know. No, I guess I didn't. 10K, maybe 20,000. It just 100,000 was so far off in my mind. I'd never thought, I don't know, I'd be here. It feels so fast. You talk about your dream is just around the corner. You just got to keep walking. Mm-hmm. It's the slow, quick way. I didn't understand that until I crossed the 100,000 mark.
Yay, that's awesome.
Yeah.
For listeners, the slow, quick way I talk about in Double Your Business on Amazon. So if that piqued your intuition, your inspiration, that's where you can find out more about that. But it's really the way that we do things in the Enchanted Circle. Most people, they come out and they try and go really, really fast, but it's actually really, really slow because you're either trying to do all the things or you're trying to skip over the growth parts. But when you go the slow, quick way, you're taking it step by step. You're doing one assignment a day. You're taking a little step every day, which gets you there faster.
Mm-hmm. And that, I feel like that way applies to so many different facets of our lives. I mean, I'm just, weight loss keeps popping into my mind.
Yes.
Those fad diets where you drop 20 pounds really quickly, but then it all comes back. And the other people who take 10 years to lose 15 pounds, it stays off forever, that kind of thing.
Yes, absolutely. That's a great example and such a good example of the slow quick way. All right. So there's been a lot of shifts in ahas and growth since our last interview. So will you fill us in?
Yeah. Since my last interview, I have ended my relationship and opened up a huge space in my life for growth. It feels like the ceiling, I popped off the ceiling and I'm just going up and up now.
Yeah. And I love, so this is what you wrote, and the words are, I think, important, that I had created an amazing life, but I was still growing it. I had outgrown the awesome I had already created.
Mm-hmm. And you brought my attention to that too. Yeah.
Yeah. Tell us more about that, because I think there was this, I don't know, tell us how you were sort of feeling before that aha or that coaching.
I was feeling what have I done? I manifested this amazing house and property and life I'm living every single day. I truly was living my scripts every day. And it hit me. I didn't want it anymore. And I had some sort of come to Jesus moments with you about why did I create all of this if all of a sudden I don't want it? I don't know what I was feeling or what kind of judgments were coming up, but you had mentioned, and it really rung true for me, that I am growing more than what I've created. And we use the term up level a lot in our work. And
Mhm.
this truly is an up level. Like I've manifested this really amazing life in this house, and I have outgrown it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And outgrown it in the best way possible, but still like outgrown it. And I need the space to grow. So the day I realized it, you coached me to give myself some time to own it. And I did. And yeah, and then I, ended my relationship a couple days later. So
Yeah. And that was a relationship you'd been in since you started here, right?
before
Yeah.
yeah, it was 4 years. We've been living together for 2 years, I think.
Mhm.
Yeah. And I thought he was the one, and I thought this was the life I wanted. um, until it wasn't, until I wanted more. And not that
Mhm.
this is not enough. It just is like my wants have grown and expanded bigger than what I have. So, yeah.
Yeah. And that's a huge for listeners. Like it is okay to grow and keep wanting more and deeper. And you were still growing. And so that was not inevitable, but likely to happen.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I had known that would be a possibility. I just didn't think it would be a possibility for me,
Hmm.
that the things I wanted changed so drastically. That I never, this came completely out from left field. I like my new career path and the new things that I want in my life. They're just all brand new as of like 2 months ago. So it was just like a lot at once. That, yeah. So
Yeah.
I am definitely getting comfortable in being uncomfortable right now with this growth that's happening. Um, but I like don't know how I would have done this if I hadn't had whatever it's been, like 3 years of Enchanted Circle under my
Hmm.
belt. This, like, the tools I've learned in the Enchanted Circle with you are truly just like guiding me forward. And everyone that has learned that I've ended my relationship tells me how brave I am and how strong I'm being and how powerful it is to like own what I want and go for it. And how easy it would have been to just stay in something that doesn't fit me anymore. And in my head, I just think, yeah, well, that's because I've been coaching with Cassie for so long that I know how to own it and
Hmm.
embrace it and own it.
Yeah. What are like the 1 to 3 biggest tools that you have leaned on that have made it maybe a difference in this breakup compared to relationships ending in the past?
That's the thing. I've never had a relationship before this, so this is all brand new
Oh,
for me.
awesome.
Yeah, so it's always kind of good that like yeah, I have so
Yeah.
many great tools for my very first big breakup. So,
Yes.
um, but you said three.
Yeah, 1 to 3, whatever feels good.
I certainly feel my feelings,
Mhm.
and in that realm, learning how to schedule my feelings if it's like an appropriate time. And like knowing like it's not a cool time to cry right now, so I'm just gonna wait. I have a drive home later. I will do it then, and it's great. And then I cry later, and it's fine. Um, Something else. What else? Um, I don't know what. Anyway, this action of not an action, but sort of this process of holding an image of myself happy and with my dog, and that was really helpful, especially in the beginning. And actually, I meant to tell you, I went to that park I had envisioned today with my nanny kid,
Yeah.
and I like looked out over the hill with my nanny kid, and I was like, "See, it's happening."
Yay, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that.
Hmm.
Um, so how has owning your future self, boundaries and worthiness of more and more really shifted, grown in the past couple months?
Well, I mean, owning my future self, I like as soon as I knew my future self was different, was bigger than what I had, and that there was no more growth to be had within the life I'd built. I owned my future self and broke down the walls or like, moved on essentially. Um,
Yeah.
and boundaries, um, I like starting a new job, setting boundaries with my new job and moving in with my cousin and having new boundaries there. Um, creating like discovering new boundaries I have with my ex now that I need like that we're kind of co-creating boundaries, like what is feeling good here because we still have a lot of love for each other, but there are some things that don't feel good to discuss with each other. Um, and what was the other thing? Oh, and my worthiness. B- just how have I made? I've just been, well, recently mostly with work, practicing worthiness of ease and fun. Um, and yeah, owning that a little bit more and worthiness of the future that I've created that I am actively creating, that I'm worthy of stepping into that and embracing that. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's a big deal. And the worthiness at work, because you actually make more money than your last job.
Mhm.
And just like scale of 1 to 10 from easy to hard, what was the old job?
10 being hard.
Yeah.
Um, my old job was probably an 8.5, solidly, maybe a 9. And
Yeah.
this current job is probably like a 3.
Yeah. And so there's owning that 5 steps of I am worth getting paid more for this less stress, this ease, this feel good, whatever, all the things that came from that 3 to 5, that make up that 8 that aren't there in a 3 job, right?
Yeah, and I just realized this is really great practice for stepping into a coach and coaching full time. It's
Yes.
such great practice.
It is such great practice because
Yeah.
that is one of the things when you step into a coach, you step into, what any entrepreneur, it can be easy to get caught up. And I did this too. Like I found myself about 6 or 8 months in after I left my job, like creating the same amount of stress, which was completely made up. And
Mm.
this working this hard. And it was just the pattern that I had done. It
Mhm.
There was nothing about it that had to be true.
Yeah, yeah, and I'm still growing through that right now, but I can see it getting better and better every day. And the exercise you gave me has been super helpful. And I actually did it when I wasn't at work, and it was still fun.
Yay, that's
Yeah.
awesome. Um, so tell us how your future self has been showing up.
Oh, and I feel like I listed so many because you haven't asked me that in a while, which is fine because that's been like our process right now. But self-caring, trusting, peaceful, happy, excited, easy, and confident.
Yes.
Yeah.
Awesome. I love
Mhm.
that. And you reminded me of the question I wanted to make sure to ask. So you've completed Manifest 10K was this actually the third time or the
Yeah, or
second
like
and a half
second and a
time?
half. Yeah, second and a half time.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And so tell us what was different at the end of this, going through it a second time. Second full time.
I wish I had come up with a number. I think I manifested 80,000 this time around.
Yay, that's
Yeah,
amazing.
like just yeah, which is, 8 times as much as is quote unquote required. um
It's required.
required reading kind of. I don't know. I think I trusted the process more and it flowed a lot more. And with the new people in the Enchanted Circle, some of the questions they have, I had some of those questions back in the day.
Mhm.
And I realized like, oh, I don't have to spend time and energy. Like my brain isn't coming up with noise like that right now. I have a lot smaller percentage of noise and more of the juicy work being done. And I think that really propelled me forward and faster. I'm so excited for the next time I get to do it.
Yes. Oh, I'm excited for the next time. So it'll be a little bit different.
Oh.
Um, but describe just for listeners, like what's that noise compared to like the space to enjoy the juiciness of the work? Because that's so good.
The noise is your brain coming up with reasons to keep you in your old space. So it could be questions, it could be like technological difficulty, it could be those are usually the two biggest things, like questions about, am I doing this right? I don't understand this wording. I did the assignment, but I only did half of it. So could you check on it? And these aren't actual examples, they're just things I'm coming up with my brain. And then other things, it's like, I don't know how to work this app, or like this website isn't working. Everything's shut down. I had a meltdown and threw my laptop. Like that's just noise that your brain is creating to keep you in an old space of what your brain is used to, which was before Enchanted Circle, which is not as good.
It's not, right? And that is such an accurate description of what happened. So that first time when you go through, you're shifting, and this is why we call it the slow quick way, because you're slowly turning away or turning down that noise in this example, right? And really enjoying the space and getting to see what the assignment is. So when you do it this, and then you grow into your future self, and when you do it again, you get to do it without that noise. And so you can actually see the assignment. You can actually show up because you've turned down so much of that noise that happens in your brain before the Enchanted Circle that really is keeping you stuck, right? Because if, when we're creating those technological difficulties, which are created, by the way, um, they're keeping us like, then we get to focus on that instead of doing the work, right? Like questioning the assignment, or questioning like, did I do this exactly right? And making the choice to only do half the assignment, right?
Yeah.
Like when we know. Yeah.
And I think once, for me personally, with the noise turned down more and more each time I've done it, I've been able to do the assignment and let it go more throughout my day. Whereas in the past, I think it was good that I did this, but I was thinking about it all the time.
Yeah.
And I think I was a little bit white knuckling it. And now it's a bit more like, I read the assignment and I trust that I've, I don't know, embraced it. It's in me. I know it. I know what I'm doing. I can move forth. I don't have to keep. I used to like pull up the website on my phone throughout the day and like, what was the assignment today? Is this something I need to be doing all day? And it's definitely not like that anymore.
That's amazing. And also I had no idea. But I love that, because you're right. You can, I had no idea that you were like pulling it up to check. It makes total sense.
Yeah.
Like knowing you in the beginning, like I get that,
Yeah.
right? Because you're like, I don't want to miss it. Like, and what you used to think growth took was like this diligent, white knuckled. That's exactly what it was, right? Like, and all of your questions and all of your noise were really about like white knuckling it and making sure to get it right. And now that you've been able to just tune that, you can show up and be open for growth, which is so much different than getting it right.
That's so funny. I'm doing that right now. I feel like I was doing that with my business assignment. I was like, but what about this, Cass? 4 minutes later, what about this? What about this? Oh my gosh.
I did notice that.
Yeah. I know that that's a thing, but sometimes when you're in it, you can't really see it. And that's why you have a coach.
That's right. Yeah. Because if you don't have a coach, that's where you stop doing the work and start trying to figure out how to do the work. Right. So without a coach to be like, no, like that, those are literally the answers I've been giving you. No, yes, just do it this way. Right. Like because it shuts that brain down instead of cycling into like, oh, I got to figure out, like, do I do it this way? How do I figure that out? Should I read another book? Should I go back and read the post? Should I do this? Should I do, like, when you have a coach, you're like, no. And then that space is open to actually do the assignment.
I always get so mad when you one word answer. Because I know that's what you're doing. And it's like, my brain is like, no, just let me analyze everything.
Right.
And actually I did that earlier with, cause the workshop is this weekend. So these
Mhm.
assignments are all new for me. But there are things
Yes.
that we've done in the workshop. It's fun to have it before the workshop now. So my brain was freaking out a little.
I love that. I love that it's freaking out because we know it's like that's
Yeah.
just the sign for you, like it's growing, right? And
Yeah.
we've become accustomed to that. We know how to handle it and
Mhm.
we can keep moving forward.
Yeah, and when I find myself scrolling Amazon, I just put the app down and put my phone away and find something else.
That's an amazing segue into our next episode where we're going to talk a little bit more about going back, like how our money story comes up again as we grow and sort of growing through it in the process and what that looks like. So, this is a perfect place to wrap up. Any final thoughts on this, breakups, trusting yourself, or any of that?
I mean, I have so many thoughts about breakups now that I have had one. I don't know, just own yourself and where you're at, and I check in with what you want. And not that I was settling, I genuinely wanted everything I had. But the moment I realized I wanted different slash more, then I changed things pretty quickly. But I don't know, just like there are people in my life, I want them to own what they want and own more. You and Chinny just had a podcast episode about people in relationships that you don't think they should be in that relationship. But I am working on like giving her space and letting her own it and live her life. But yeah, if there's anybody, I don't know. I love your saying, if it's not a hell yes, it's a no. So just take
Yes.
that.
Yes, that's awesome. All right, make sure to come back and listen to us talk about money stories and how Vicky's grown and some other awesome things that are showing up in her life next time. The telling of stories is so powerful, both to the person telling it and the person receiving it. Since 30,000 BC, we as humans have told stories to teach and guide. And now we, with Manifesting Success Stories, hope to inspire you to what is possible in your own life. If you want more manifesting success, go to moremanifestingsuccess.com, where you'll find links to anything we've talked about on the show. Thank you for joining us today, and remember, you have the power to write your own happy ever after.